Ignorance is no excuse tour, Jamesburg, New Jersey. Let's go see where we can smoke weed in Jamesburg. Yes, I have a question. I'm here in Jamesburg a lot, and I need to know where I can use my medicine legally around here. I know where we can use it, but I wanted to make sure I'm not going to have a problem if I smoke a joint out here right now. Basically.
One second, let me have an officer come in and speak
Sure.
to you, 'cause I don't know.
Thank you.
But the medical marijuana, you can smoke anywhere in public as you can smoke cigarettes.
Okay.
So just know, like with the cigarette laws, if you smoke, within whatever it's posted, no smoking within 50 feet of a building.
Right.
You can smoke medical marijuana legally as long as anywhere you can smoke cigarettes.
Okay.
Can't smoke in your car. You can't smoke while you're driving. Obviously, if you smoke
Right.
marijuana, you can't drive. It's the same as drinking and driving.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
not the same as drinking and driving, but the same laws.
Is there a therapeutic amount of cannabis you can have in your body to drive with, like there is for other drugs?
I'm not sure. You'd have to contact your physician about that.
Yeah.
And ask your physician, and I'm not really sure what that is. You have to ask your physician.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, just so you know, anything when it comes to the cigarette in public, that's where
Right.
you have your.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So if I smoke out here, it's got to be 25 feet from the door. Is that
Well,
what it
you
is?
got to remember, this is a public park, so it's the same
Right,
kind of
right.
thing. That's Middlesex County's property.
Okay.
So you want to make sure if you're smoking in the park, it's a designated area.
You can't smoke in the park. Where do they smoke cigarettes around here? Is there any smokers around here?
No, not that I'm
No.
aware of here. No, we
Okay.
don't smoke. None of us smoke.
You don't
She
look like a
doesn't
smoker. All right. All right.
So yeah, like I said, just don't smoke and drive. Don't smoke
Right.
in your car. If there's a sign that says no cigarette smoking or 200 feet from a building, that's where you can legally smoke medical marijuana.
Okay. In the car, there actually is a provision in the law that says you can smoke in the car, but you have to have the keys out of the ignition.
You know, you should contact your attorney on that because I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay.
All I know is if you smoke and drive, it's the same as it's DUI.
Right.
DWI.
but when we finish talking right now, check because that's part of the
Yeah, it is.
government.
Oh, absolutely.
It is.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
I forget. Maybe it's 2-4.
You have to know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's 2-4 that you can have. You have to have the keys out of the ignition. Because we go to police stations and we try to make try to find out what what's going on because a lot of police know and some police don't know. You obviously are very well informed, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. We try. There's
Yeah.
a lot of laws and a lot of provisions, so it's
Yeah.
we try to keep up as much as we can.
Did your management give you the Kuma guidelines, or did you do it on your own?
The management gives it to us.
They
here.
did?
Yeah,
Okay.
our supervisors here are very well informed, and from the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office
Oh,
to
cool.
the Attorney General guidelines,
Wow. Okay.
follow everything by the book.
Okay.
So
That's not always the case. So I'm glad to see Jamesburg is on board with.
Jamesburg's on
cool.
board.
All right.
For the 5 years I've been here, we're on board.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, you got
Officer Bruno. Thank you, sir.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
nice day. All right, be careful.
Take care.
Oh wow. Do I do it?
Do it.
Do I do it?
Yeah. You're in the law, brother.
Well, I do have to be 25 feet from an entrance, so I'm not going to do it here. I'm a nice stoner. I do nice things for people. The Ignorance is no excuse tour, Jamesburg, New Jersey. So Slav, you're my designated driver. I cannot share this with you, but I would love to, but I can't. See, watch this. Here, Slav. Here you go. Here you go, buddy. Psych! This is what freedom tastes like, America. Everybody in America should be able to do this in front of their police station. Everybody. Police need to be going after real criminals, not the guy with 2 joints in his sock. Let the police protect my medical marijuana.
Every 42 seconds, someone is arrested for cannabis.
Stop arresting patients! Stop arresting patients! Stop arresting patients!
Welcome to CMMNJ TV.
Every 42 seconds, someone is arrested for marijuana.
I'm Ken Walski, Executive Director of the Coalition for Medical Marijuana New Jersey. The mission of our organization is to educate the public about the benefits of marijuana. Marijuana is a safe, effective, and inexpensive therapeutic agent for a wide variety of diseases, symptoms, and conditions. No patient should suffer needlessly without it, and no patient should ever go to jail for following the advice of a doctor. Join us and learn more about the exciting science of medical marijuana. Welcome to CMMNJ TV. I'm Ken Walski, Executive Director of the Coalition for Medical Marijuana New Jersey. I'm here in the Princeton Community TV studios today with Angie Patterson, mother of a young man who has an intractable seizure disorder. Thank you so much for coming, Angie.
Thank you. Jack is 11 years old, and he he was first diagnosed with generalized seizure disorder 2 years ago is when we started this process. And
so he's only had seizures for 2 years now?
no, that's just when we started all the
Oh.
medication.
Mm-hmm.
But he's had seizures, absent seizures his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of a more clinical way, if people want to know more clinically, it's called a seizure disorder with focal and generalized spike and wave discharges that can last up to 4 seconds without clinical signs. So these are the absent seizures. That's mostly what he had. He had 2 regular seizures, tonic-clonic seizures, but most of his problems were absent seizures, and it also translated into ADHD. So about 2 years ago, in the beginning of 4th grade, we started him on seizure meds, traditional seizure meds, to see if we could help the absent seizures.
Now, absent seizures, it's just where there's no actual motion going on. He just kind of loses contact with reality for a period of time.
Right.
Is this what an absent seizure is now?
It
And
is.
how long do they last usually?
His
typically?
could be just a couple of seconds, and you wouldn't even know it, and we didn't know it for years.
Mm-hmm.
He would just, now we can recognize it because he'll eye blink or maybe stutter for just a second.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until he had the 2 seizures at 8 and 10 years of age, and we started doing EEGs, that we noticed that he was having these absent seizures all day and all night. So off and on all day and all night.
And he had the generalized tonic-clonic seizures,
For the 8 and 10
At 8 and
year.
10.
Yes. So about 2 years ago we started, because you can't start with medical marijuana with a generalized seizure disorder. You actually have to have intractable seizure disorder. So you have to try and fail at least 3 traditional medicines before you can try medical marijuana. So we started, we tried and failed Depakote, generic Keppra, Onfi, brand Keppra, clonazepam, Transine, and Lamictal. And those were all for seizures. And then we also tried guanfacine for the ADHD. So we were
which was it?
guanfacine for the
Guanfacine,
ADHD.
yeah.
So we tried all of those medicines over 2 years trying to stop these absent seizures. And the side effects from those medications went from the 2 seizures, tonic-clonic, that I told you that he had at 8 and 10, to at over 30 seizures in 18 months, tonic-clonic seizures.
So he actually got worse.
He got worse.
Wow.
He got worse. He went from a regular classroom with his friends to now he's in a special ed class. So he can't even be in a classroom with his friends anymore because he can't keep up as a result of trying to wean him off of all these medications and going through all these trial and error processes that he went through with the medications. Probably the Keppra, Lamictal, those caused irritability. He had mood swings. He was picking up knives and chasing his brothers around the house when he'd get angry. He almost drowned last summer because I couldn't control him. His mood swings and his blood pressure were fluctuating so much that I couldn't control him. So he had to be rescued by the lifeguard last year. Thank God one time he had a seizure at night. He was sleeping with me because I think he might have died that night. We had to call 911 and come in and help us. So
It was unremitting seizure, status epilepticus kind of thing?
yes, yes. So during that process, the only thing that we were using to help us was the clonazepam, which he is now addicted to, and we have been weaning him off for almost a year now. So he's almost off the clonazepam and the Lamictal. Because he failed those and failed them so fabulously and dramatically and almost died, he is now eligible to try medical marijuana, which is a shame. We couldn't try that first. So it took us about 6 months in all to actually get the marijuana. It took a couple of months to find a doctor. There are doctors who prescribe marijuana in New Jersey, but it's hard to find someone who will prescribe it to a child. So I had to call. It took a lot of time to find someone, and he's a wonderful doctor. He has our parents drive 5 hours down to see him because there are so few doctors who will prescribe marijuana for children or are allowed to prescribe it.
So you live in Collingswood, and where is the doctor that you found?
He's in Berlin, so I don't have to drive that far. And then And then, once I found the doctor, it took about 4 months to get the card and actually be able to go into the dispensary and buy it.
Now, how about you also needed a pediatrician? Now, this was the medical marijuana specialist that you're talking about.
Right.
But there was also a pediatrician and a psychiatrist evaluation.
Right.
That's
The first month was the psychiatrist. The second month was the pediatrician. The third month was my fingerprinting, and then the fourth month was actually applying for the card. So it took about a month for each of those processes, and then to actually get the card. And then I also want to say that it's $150 cash to see the doctor each time, and he's not higher than anyone else, but everything is in cash. So you have $150 for each appointment that I have to see him, $200 for the card. The marijuana itself is $480 an ounce. All of that's cash. To walk in with cash, and I think that we're not exactly sure how long the marijuana lasts for him, because we're still trying to adjust it for him. So that's a lot of money in cash for families and for us. If you have a child who has a disability or an illness, you already spend way more than anyone else on medical care. And so now I have to come up with cash for all of these things that aren't covered by insurance, and so that he can be all right. And so our family sacrifices other things so that he can have what he needs, and that's not right.
Now, how many times did you actually have to see the medical marijuana doctor before he would recommend it?
I only had to see him the first time I saw him, and he looked at the charts. He said that I was approved, and he started the process.
Okay, great.
And then
some doctors insist on multiple visits before they'll even give you the certification number that you need to get the card.
Right, and they did tell me that, but when I went, he pushed it right along.
Great.
So then I just go back and check with, I check in with him every couple of months and tell him how we're doing, and tell him how, if that's enough for us, or how he's doing. So we check in with him.
So how long have you been using medical marijuana then?
3 months on the medical marijuana here from New Jersey. We did try some Charlotte's Web oil that we ordered from Colorado, but 3 months on regular marijuana that we buy here from the dispensary.
And now, so you have to convert that.
We do.
To an edible form for Jack.
There's a Facebook page of about 140 other parents who have children with seizures, and we share information and doses and how to make it. And so through these other parents that have worked this out before me, they've taught us how to do it. So we buy the buds, and we decarb them in the oven to make them psychoactive, and then we infuse that into coconut oil. And then we give him, of what we have right now, we give him about 5 drops of that oil on a gummy bear in the morning, and about 5 drops at night. And we just watch him, and we start low and slow. We started with just a little bit, and watch how he reacts. Because when I said psychoactive, that we want to make sure that he's not getting high, and he's not. We also have had to learn a lot about the difference between sativas and indicas. So we give him the sativa in the morning, and that helps with ADHD and his seizures. And we are noticing that he is having less absent seizures. We don't notice the eye blinking anymore. He's much more focused. It helps with the ADHD as well, which is probably just a result of the absent seizures, that the lack of focus. He's only had 1 seizure since we've been on the medical marijuana, and that was when he was sick and he had a fever spike. So I'm not even sure that that's something we could have controlled anyway. When he's sick and his fever spikes up,
Your metabolism changes, so you may have to adjust the dose for various other conditions. So that's interesting. Now, is an ounce holding you for a month?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And then we just, New Jersey or the dispensary where we get our marijuana, just got a new strain that's very high in CBDs, which is what we've been looking for him, because that is supposed to be what helps stop the seizures. So as we adjust the THC and the CBDs, trying to find that right balance for him so that he stops having the absent seizures altogether and can go back in the regular classroom with his friends. And
so what, well, first of all, what ATC are you using, and what strain are you finding now?
We're using an ACDC, that's the name of the strain, and it has a very low THC and very high CBD. And so we're mixing that in with the other oil that has a higher THC. So we're just adjusting it as we watch him. He's doing much better.
That's great.
Like I said, we still are. We're still trying to deal with the withdrawal effects of the clonazepam.
Right.
So once all of that is out of his system, then we'll go back in and we'll have more EEGs, and we'll be able to gauge with some of that too, to help us decide how much to give.
Now, who's prescribing the clonazepam? Is that a neurologist or is it a pediatrician?
It was from the neurologist to stop the seizures from the other medicines that were the medicines when they started causing the seizures. Then we started using the clonazepam to stop those. And he was having, like I said, he had over 30. After a while, he was getting so much clonazepam that his body wanted that.
Yeah.
So he's.
What kind of addiction?
About every 2 days, he'll go into shakes because he wants it so badly, and so I've cut down the 1 milligram pill into 16 pieces, and he's on 1/16 of it right now, and so I would imagine in a couple months he'll be completely off. That's the only time I see any problems in him is from that wean, but the 3 months that I've introduced the medical marijuana, he's been doing great.
So that's the only other pharmaceutical that he's on?
He's on a tiny bit of Lamictal. He takes a quarter of a 25 tablet at night and a half of a tablet in the morning. It's very hard you have to wean those so slowly.
Yeah.
We've been weaning them off for a year.
How helpful are the physicians in the weaning process? Are they knowledgeable about the marijuana? Or?
No, none of them actually even told us to try marijuana. The last thing that we were told was to do surgery.
Yeah, I was wondering if surgery was discussed as an option too, because so many doctors are willing to do brain surgery before they would give a trial of medical marijuana.
Oh yeah, that's where we were headed. That's why that was when we left the neurologists and chose this path.
Good for you.
I think one of my main what I want everyone to know and what I want to say for Jack is that number one, you shouldn't have to try and fail things before you're allowed to try medical marijuana. I know many other adults and children who are all taking 2 and 3 medications, different seizure medications, and have all kinds of symptoms, side effects, but they can't try the medical marijuana. You can't until it's intractable. The second thing that I really want to stress is it shouldn't cost so much money. He's a sick child, and he needs this medication, and it's working for him. It shouldn't cost that much. It should be covered. And the third thing, and the most important thing that is affecting our family right now and affecting his livelihood, is he can't leave the state. So this summer, when we would normally visit my parents in Texas and his cousins, or fly to Seattle and visit his family members, we can't get on an airplane or Port Authority will arrest us. And I did stop and I asked TSA what would happen if we brought his little gummy bears that he needs in the morning and at night, and they said that we would stop you and send you to Port Authority and you'd be arrested. So our family now really can't even leave the state because we don't want to leave him behind. So he can't visit his family, can't travel around the country because it's not available, because he's not allowed to leave the state with it legally.
So we are working on that. It's a terrible thing that you can't go to Pennsylvania.
No.
you can't cross the river.
No, right.
It's terrible, absolutely terrible. So I'm so sorry for that. But you did come to a CMMNJ meeting, so it was great that you're getting active and finding people on Facebook to network with who are very sympathetic to the problem, people who are in the same situation with you, and advocates who are working to reform these laws. Now, Governor Christie recently signed a bill that is going to require schools to develop policies to allow children who use medical marijuana to use this medical marijuana in the schools. But that sounds like you're able to achieve a constant blood level with just the morning and evening doses of marijuana. So it's not, do you think that this is going to be an issue for you or something?
It's not an issue. We have a great school. And they actually have already given us the paperwork so that we can bring the marijuana to school.
Oh, really?
So they're
they've
progressive.
Already, they've developed a policy already. Oh,
We
that's
just
wonderful.
haven't, we've only, because we're just trying to figure out what works best for him, we just started giving him an afternoon dose to try to see if that would help him. But they're very willing to do that for us. And
Well, the only thing is, of course, that you would have to go into the school to give it, or the caregiver would have to go. I mean, you're the registered caregiver. Now you had to get a card too, obviously,
Right,
as a caregiver.
right.
Now, does your husband get a card too?
No, just
one
me.
card, one card per person.
Right.
So yeah, I know it's like one caregiver per person. So, so that if they do allow it to be used in the school, then you would have to interrupt your day and get over to the school and give it to them if you needed that dose. So that might work for some people. For other people, it simply doesn't work too. Angie, that's another issue. It wasn't only schools that the governor signed the bill for, but facilities for the developmentally disabled. Now, typically these have residents in them who don't leave, and how reasonable is that really to think that a caregiver can come in several times a day to give medicine to someone in a living situation,
Right.
where it's just an unreasonable thing. My belief is that we really the state needs to recognize its role as a caregiver and to arrange for all the patients who are under its care, that it should give the medicine like it gives other medicine.
Well, I was just going to say, it certainly was okay for me to have the Keppra and the Lamictal and all those brought to the school as he's running up and down the hallway, hitting his teacher, hitting his friends.
Who gave the medicine in school?
The nurse is allowed to give.
The nurses allowed.
Right,
to
and
give.
those were allowed to be given and kept there, and those are okay to give him.
Yeah.
Yet something that is not having any. We haven't seen any negative side effects at all with the medical marijuana. We've seen better sleep, which better sleep for Jack means that he's not having absent seizures that are waking him up. So better sleep means that he's not having those seizures through the night. Better focus and being able to move through his morning to get out of bed, dressed, brush his teeth and get ready and go to school means that he's not having all these absent seizures that are stopping the thought process of, oh, what do I have to do next? Oh, I have to brush my teeth next. I have to get dressed next. So we're seeing only positive things from the medical marijuana, and so that just your point in having the medicines that are causing rage and frankly dangerous. I mean, he was dangerous when he was on those. Those were allowed, but this was not. But like I said, we have a progressive school, and they are willing to help us and give him the medicine for us. So we're very lucky.
Yeah. And it's Zane North.
Zane North Elementary School.
Is it in Collingswood?
Collingswood.
Collingswood. Yeah. I'd say Collingswood is heard it described as Mayberry with an attitude.
It's a great town.
Yeah, one of our board members lives there. So well, that's great. You said it helped with the symptoms of ADHD. That's one of the things that I think really needs to be explained too, is that marijuana has such a wide range of therapeutic effects that people often find that they treat them for the seizure disorder, and they find they're doing better in some of the with some of the other physical or mental or emotional problems that
Right.
the people have.
Well, the dopamine levels generally in people who have ADHD are low, and medical marijuana raises the dopamine level in your brain, and that's why it helps with the ADHD. Whether or not his ADHD is related to absent seizures or just that he has ADHD, the dopamine levels are being raised, and that's helping him focus as well. So it's helping both of the things that were hindering him from learning.
Yeah. And you think about the typical treatment for ADHD would be amphetamine therapy. So you would, the doctors, the typical medical establishment is much more willing to give amphetamines to a child, to control his ADHD rather than, marijuana, which is far less addicting and far less of a dangerous drug than amphetamines.
I wanted to, I'll just add to that. If a lot of times when you have a seizure disorder, they don't want to give you amphetamine, so they do the opposite. They give you blood pressure medicine. Guanfacine is a blood pressure medicine that I think they saw that it helped people with ADHD. So that's what they tried for him, and his blood pressure went down. The reaction and the side effects of having his blood pressure altered like that. So it just seemed like instead of just allowing him to try that, they just threw all these other medications around him, and one would cause a side effect that we had to then try to get another medication to help this side effect. So as we were cleaning him out and getting back to the Jack, who is friendly and nice and happy and had friends, to a child who was withdrawn out of his class, pulled into a special ed class, unable to even interact with his peers and be in his classroom. It's horrible. It's horrible that he had to go through all of that. And now that we're seeing the Jack we know start to come back and the symptoms of the absent seizures go away, it's great. But 2 years, he lost 2 years while we did that.
Yeah, how about that? And so he's still in the special ed class now?
He is in the special ed class until he's weaned off of all the meds. So they're just trying to protect him from the emotion, the mood swings, until we get those back in control.
Well, geez, what a heartwarming story. And so thank you so much for coming here to tell us, to share this information about your son.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Oh, it's really heartwarming to hear these success stories of medical marijuana. You know, when it's all other pharmaceutical drugs have been tried. You know, as you said, Angie, it really is a shame that marijuana isn't the first drug, you know, first line of treatment for these very, very devastating disorders. So thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for coming here today. And thank you for coming on CMMNJ.
Thank you.
For more information about the Coalition for Medical Marijuana New Jersey, join us at our free public meetings on the second Tuesday of every month at the Lawrence Township Library in Mercer County, New Jersey, from 7 to 9 p.m. Snacks are served and all are welcome. Remember, every 42 seconds, someone is arrested for marijuana.
Every 42 seconds, someone is arrested for marijuana.
Every 42 seconds, somebody's arrested for marijuana.
Every 42 seconds, someone is arrested for marijuana.
Every 42 seconds, someone's arrested for marijuana.
Every 42 seconds, someone is arrested for marijuana.
Every 42 seconds, somebody is arrested for marijuana.
Every 42 seconds, someone is arrested for marijuana.
Cada 42 segundos está uno arrestado por marihuana.
Every 42 seconds, somebody is arrested for.
Every 42 seconds, someone in this country is arrested for marijuana.
Chaque 42 secondes, il y a été un monde pour marijuana.
Every 42 seconds, someone is arrested for marijuana.
Every 42 seconds, someone is arrested for marijuana.
Every 42 seconds, someone is arrested for marijuana. It could be you.